The older man sits calmly, a gentle smile softening his face. His tone is warm, yet carries a subtle air of expectation as he says, "Anyway, when you get the chance, bring Nayang over for a visit." The moment feels casual on the surface, but there's an underlying weight to his words, something that lingers between politeness and personal longing. The younger man doesn't answer right away. His lips press into a thin line, and silence fills the space where words should be. The panel focuses on the lower half of his face, the tension almost visible in the shadows. The ellipsis in his speech bubble, ... captures everything he cannot bring himself to say. Finally, he straightens and turns away, his footsteps echoing softly, clump, clump. The light from above casts a pale glow over his back as he walks toward the exit. Without looking back, he says quietly, "Well then, I'll head out." The scene fades with a lingering sense of distance, as if something important remains unsaid between them. The man walks away down a quiet corridor, his back straight and posture composed. Dressed in neatly pressed black trousers and a crisp white shirt, he carries his suit jacket casually over one arm. The polished floor reflects his steady steps, and the soft afternoon light filters through the large windows, casting long shadows. His hand slips into his pocket as if lost in thought, each movement calm yet deliberate, like someone who has already made up his mind about something important. Outside, a sleek black car waits for him. Its polished surface gleams under the sunlight, exuding quiet luxury and authority. With a sharp motion, the car door shuts, slam, echoing through the still air. The sound feels like punctuation, marking the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. The car's engine hums softly, ready to carry its owner toward whatever awaits next. Inside the car, the man leans back against the seat, exhaling slowly. The tension in his shoulders eases for a brief moment as his gaze drifts forward, thoughtful and distant. A quiet confession fills the space. "I became a prosecutor for personal reasons." His voice, though calm, carries a weight of emotion and unspoken memories. As he breathes out, it feels as though he's trying to release not just air, but the burden that comes with his chosen path. As the evening light softly touched the fabric of her clothes, a quiet thought surfaced in her mind. She sighed inwardly, feeling the weight of another long week. But still, she mused, I at least wanted to have an evening for myself on the weekend. It wasn't too much to ask for a bit of solitude, a small slice of peace away from all the noise and obligations. The man leaned back in his seat, pressing his fingers lightly against his face as if trying to ease the weariness gathering behind his eyes. I didn't think I'd end up with dinner plans 2 nights in a row, he thought, almost incredulous at how his schedule had once again slipped from his control. Even the weekends, it seemed, refused to offer him rest. His crisp white shirt, slightly creased from the long day, clung to him as he exhaled slowly. The motion of his hand, covering part of his face, betrayed his quiet exhaustion. In the stillness of the car, he could feel the tension of the week pressing down on him, his body and mind both yearning for a moment of calm that never seemed to come. The scene opens with a close-up of a man's face, his expression thoughtful and slightly tense. He's in the middle of adjusting his collar, perhaps trying to collect his thoughts. The atmosphere feels heavy, as if he's recalling something that happened not too long ago. His inner voice echoes quietly. Well, but yesterday. The sound of fabric shifting, whip, breaks the silence, emphasizing his hesitation. The narration continues as the setting changes. Warm sunlight filters through green leaves, casting gentle shadows across a peaceful outdoor terrace. His thoughts linger, completing the sentence from before. Was an interesting day, to say the least. The tone suggests both surprise and disbelief, hinting at an event that left a deep impression on him. In the midst of this tranquil backdrop, a voice from his memory resurfaces, a bold and unexpected proposal. "Why don't you have an affair with me?"
The memory sharpens into a vivid image. A man and a woman stand facing each other in the sunlit garden. The woman, with flowing red hair and a confident yet serious expression, gestures slightly toward him as she speaks. Her attire, a white blouse beneath a long black dress, gives her an air of composed elegance. The man, tall and stoic in his dark suit, meets her gaze silently, his hands calmly tucked into his pockets. The moment between them is charged, suspended in the tension of her daring words and his stunned reaction.
A soft golden light filters through the air, illuminating the ground beneath two people's feet. One pair of black shoes faces another, a moment of quiet tension hanging between them. The air feels fragile, shimmering with anticipation. A single word escapes into the stillness. Instead, hesitant yet full of unspoken meaning, as if everything depends on what comes next. The scene shifts. The warm glow of the sunset casts long shadows across a man's face. His expression is calm, thoughtful, perhaps even a little distant. His sharp eyes seem to carry both curiosity and a trace of melancholy as he utters a name that lingers heavily in the air. So Young-ji. It's not just a name, it's a memory, a connection, and maybe a wound that time hasn't quite healed. Darkness envelops the frame, bleeding in from all sides, leaving only a faint light at the center. His thoughts echo in that void, heavy with realization and disbelief. I never imagined she'd be that kind of person when we first met. The memory of her, once bright and full of promise, now feels tainted, transformed by something he never saw coming. The past and present blur, leaving him questioning what he truly knew about So Young-ji at all. It all began at that party, the one my parents insisted I attend. They said it would be good for me, that I should meet someone named Na Young. I remember it clearly. It wasn't just any social gathering. It was the grand opening reception for a new art exhibit at the museum. The air was filled with soft chatter, the clinking of glasses, and the subtle scent of wine and perfume mingling with the sterile elegance of modern art. Among the crowd of well-dressed guests, I saw him, Mr. Han. He stood tall and composed, a glass of red wine in each hand, dressed impeccably in a dark suit. Beside him, a woman with a warm smile laughed softly, her tone light and familiar as she greeted him. "Good to see you, Mr. Han," she said, her voice carrying easily over the polite hum of conversation. The two of them looked like they belonged there, poised, confident, untouchable. Then the sound of a door clicking open broke through the murmur of the crowd. Clack. A new presence entered the room, drawing subtle glances. "Thank you so much for coming," a voice said kindly. It was the polite welcome of a host, yet beneath it lingered the anticipation of something or someone important arriving. In the elegant hall of the art museum, a sophisticated woman introduces herself with a graceful smile. Her poise and confidence command the room as she says, "I am Hye-jung Kim, the art museum director here." The sparkle in her eyes reflects her pride and authority, perfectly fitting the refined atmosphere around her. She delicately raises a glass of red wine, the ruby liquid shimmering under the soft lights. Her hand rests elegantly against her chest as she continues, her tone calm yet meaningful. "I see you've already met my daughter Nayoung." The statement carries a subtle weight, suggesting that there's more to this introduction than mere politeness. Turning slightly, Director Kim gestures towards someone standing beside her. A young man in a dark suit stands straight, his expression composed, yet observant. "Oh, this is..." she begins, her words trailing off as if to emphasize the significance of the moment. The air feels charged with quiet anticipation. With a light motion, she sets her wine glass down on a passing tray. The soft tap of crystal meeting silver echoes faintly, signaling a shift in the conversation. Her refined gestures reveal her practiced grace, each movement deliberate and dignified. Finally, her gaze turns toward another woman nearby. "My eldest daughter, So-young," she announces with a faint smile. So-young steps forward, her long auburn hair tied back elegantly, her eyes calm yet distant. The light catches in her hair as she looks ahead, composed, beautiful, and carrying an air of quiet strength. In the soft glow of the banquet hall, a woman stood poised and elegant, holding a tray with a single glass of red wine. Her beige suit hugged her frame neatly, exuding quiet professionalism and confidence. Around her, murmurs of conversation and laughter blended with the faint clinking of glasses. Yet, despite the lively backdrop, her demeanor was calm, almost distant. She looked as though she belonged to the room, yet somehow stood apart from it, her thoughts elsewhere behind that composed smile. Across the room, a man in a dark suit observed her with quiet curiosity. His brows furrowed slightly as two questions formed in his mind. Daughter? Not a secretary. The realization unsettled him, as if a puzzle piece had just shifted into place, revealing a truth he hadn't expected. The bustle of people behind him blurred into insignificance. His focus was entirely on her, on the woman whose role and story were suddenly far more complicated than he had imagined. His mind drifted to the past. Back then, he thought, I just thought she was a really tough person. Even at that time, it had been impossible to miss the signs, the quiet endurance, the way she never flinched no matter how harshly she was treated. It was obvious what kind of treatment she got at home, he admitted to himself now. She had built her walls carefully, layer by layer, shielding herself from a world that had never been kind. He remembered her mannerisms vividly, the way she always seemed to follow orders without question, never showing defiance or complaint. She seemed to obediently go along with whatever she was told, he reflected, his fingers lightly brushing his lips in thought. There had been something deeply ingrained in her, a kind of submission that came not from weakness, but from long years of conditioning. And yet, there had been a spark, something buried beneath that obedience, something waiting to ignite. So why try to start a rebellion for such a trivial reason? The question echoed in his mind. What had driven her to suddenly push back, to challenge everything she had always complied with? The memory came to him with startling clarity, her voice sharp and unflinching as she looked him straight in the eye. I heard you're impotent, she had said. The words had landed like a slap, shocking in their boldness. In that moment, he realized the quiet woman he thought he knew had far more courage and far more anger than he had ever given her credit for. The late afternoon sun bathed the garden in warm, golden hues as the two stood facing each other. The young woman, her soft auburn hair cascading in gentle waves down her back, looked up at the man before her. He was dressed sharply in a dark suit, his expression calm yet unreadable, his eyes betraying a quiet curiosity. Despite the serene setting, there was a subtle tension in the air, something unspoken passing between them. Still, she's surprisingly bold sometimes, which amuses me. The thought echoed in his mind as he watched her, a faint hint of a smile tugging at the corner of his lips. He found her unpredictable nature intriguing, the way she could stand her ground despite his intimidating presence. It was a quality he didn't expect, and perhaps that was why it drew him in all the more. Sitting in his car later, the man leaned back with a faint smirk, curving his lips. His thoughts lingered on her, her expressions, her words, the moments that caught him off guard. The more I think about it, the more curious I get, he mused. The sunlight filtering through the window cast a warm glow over his features, making his eyes gleam with both amusement and interest. A soft rustle broke the silence as he shifted in his seat, reaching into his pocket. Pulling out his sleek black phone, he began to type, his fingers moving deliberately over the screen. There was a glint of playfulness in his eyes, an almost mischievous anticipation as his thoughts translated into words. Tap. His thumb hovered for a moment before pressing the small paper plane icon on the screen, the familiar symbol of a message sent. A subtle sense of satisfaction crossed his face. Whatever he had written, it carried the weight of his growing curiosity, and perhaps a hint of something more. The phone slipped from his hand with a soft swoosh, landing on the seat beside him with a muted thud. The brief sound broke the stillness inside the car, echoing faintly before fading away. He exhaled slowly, his expression thoughtful, as if weighing his next move. A small, decisive smile curved his lips. Well then, he murmured to himself, voice low but confident, I guess I should head over first. His tone carried a hint of amusement, a quiet anticipation for what was to come, and perhaps for the person waiting on the other end. Elsewhere, the quiet of a tidy desk was interrupted by the faint vibration of a phone. Buzz, buzz. Amidst stacks of papers and open books, the screen lit up with a new message. The owner of the desk glanced toward it, momentarily distracted from the dense text before them. On the glowing screen, a short message appeared, simple yet loaded with implication. Hotel Pellier, room 3812. The words lingered on the display, stark and unembellished, carrying with them a mix of mystery and invitation. Whoever sent it knew exactly what they were doing. A thought flickered through his mind, uncertain, but not entirely without hope. Not sure if she'll show up, though. The words carried a quiet vulnerability, hidden beneath layers of composure. Despite his confidence, there remained a sliver of doubt, a question left unanswered, suspended in the silence of anticipation.